Gage was a kid that we got for the first time this year. He tried cross country out, and he was quite good. Most of the year he was our #1 JV runner. He showed improvement and growth. I do think he's more of a middle distance runner than a long distance runner. So it would be exceedingly interesting to see him run track where the distances maybe were more to his suiting. He did a super job for us. Again, never complained, always worked hard, and we really liked having him. My only regret is that we only had him 1 year. I think if we'd had Gage for a few more years, we really could have helped him grow as a distance runner, and he would be not only an extremely good middle distance runner, but I think we could have turned him into a pretty dang good long distance runner too. You're heading into wrestling, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I wish him luck there, and I think the real reason he went out for cross country so he'd be better at wrestling. So I hope we helped him with his fitness, and I hope things go well this winter. Okay, thanks. Okay, and this is Colin Conwell, and Colin Conwell was a varsity runner for us this year, and that was a big deal. And the reason why is Colin has had to overcome quite a bit of adversity. For the last couple of years, he has been part of the program, but he has been a manager. And he's had some medical issues, which he has managed, and he's been able to, he was able to run this year. And not only run, but he was able to make a varsity team that was quite good his senior year. So very, very proud of Colin's accomplishment. Would like to see Colin out for track because I think there's some real untapped potential there. I really don't think Colin knows how to train yet. I mean, really train. I think he gets a little scared right about the time he starts to overload and stimulate those big changes that can occur. Did a very, very good job for us competitively, was patient, and just didn't have the easiest time of it during the season and handled that like a pro. So it was great to have him around, and you're also a senior, aren't you?
Sadly.
Yeah, so that's 4 of our top 7. We got some rebuilding to do when it comes to next year. So anyway, wouldn't have been the same without Colin. Very, very proud of the job you've done, not just this year, but throughout your career. You've had to stay patient and stay with it, and I respect that. Okay, thank you. Okay, and here with James Jubber. James was a varsity runner for us all year long, and definitely earned his spot. James was really never in any jeopardy of not being a varsity runner, and I say that because James, the last couple of years has been varsity some of the year and then bumped at the end of the year. So he claimed his spot this year and he kept it. And with our finish at the state meet, probably the best team that we ever had when he was in high school, he was a member of. So he's had to do a lot of things right to be in that position. I'm very proud of what he's been able to accomplish, and I'm proud of the way he ran and competed this year. Did a fantastic job for us. He's another guy that we're going to miss, and we're going to have a hard time filling his shoes next year. So a challenge to our younger kids is to hopefully run somewhere near as fast as James Jubber did last year. We'll be talking about that a lot next fall. So we're glad he was out for cross country, and we are going to miss him. Thanks. Okay, now we've got Conor Glogg, and Cormac is our 3rd senior in our top 7. So of course we're going to definitely miss Cormac. In our program all 4 years, lives in my house, does everything I tell him to do. People will ask me what it's like to coach your own son or daughter. I got to do both, and I'd say it's very unusual. It can be difficult at times, not because necessarily they do anything wrong to make it more difficult. It's just it's a bizarre balancing act when you're trying to be both a dad and a coach, and not overstep any boundaries and do a good job of that. But Cormac, also responsibility from him as the athlete to do that, and he's done a nice job of that. It's been a very, very easy time with Cormac. He's done a nice job. Any success that Cormac's have, of course I'm biased, but I think he's more than earned it. He's the hardest working male athlete I've ever worked with, and that includes some guys like Tyler Polshak and Luke Hall, and Gavin DeBravo, who have worked very, very hard and deserve credit for how they've worked. Gavin may catch him before he graduates, but Gavin's got a lot of work to do if he's going to work as hard as Cormac. And so even if he hadn't achieved the level of success that he achieved, I would be very proud of him. But of course, very fortunate, Cormac is a 2-time state champion. I think he did a nice job of being a leader on this team that placed 4th in the state. And that is the highest a Girard High School program, either men's or women's, is placed in the state in cross country. which for me is kind of special because when we started this program, actually Sonny Pierce started the program and had it for a year. And then when they hired me, they asked if I would take it over. I had 6 kids, and that was boys and girls combined. And we've come a long way since then, from barely being able to field a team and go to meets to now being one of the better programs in the state. I would love, before I die and or retire, I would love to see us become prominent at the state level, and I think we're well on our way. And kids like Cormick are going to be a reason for that if that ever does occur. So very, very fortunate to have had a son and a daughter take an interest in a sport that I'm passionate about, and they did a nice job for us, and very, very proud. He was our MVP this year, not just because he's my kid, but because, well, he did run as our #1 runner all year, so he did a nice job. So thank you, Cormick. Okay, Ethan is unfortunately a senior. Yeah. We will miss him. He's a guy that was very, very important to our success. He was our #5 runner throughout, most of the season. And as any cross-country coach knows, or any good cross-country program knows, you're not any better than your #5. So finishing 4th in the state, we were pretty good. We were regional champs. CNC, we were the best team in the CNC. Really, I think we were the best men's team in this quarter of the state. And so a lot of that is because of the performances that Ethan turned in. And your #5 runner never gets a ton of credit for what he does, never gets his name in the headlines, but really you're not any better than what he places. They did a great job for us. Came on at the end of the season right when we needed him to, and like I said, he'll be tough to replace. The challenge for these younger guys is to find someone hopefully nearly as fast as Ethan to step into those shoes next year, to develop somebody so that we can keep going in the right direction. We appreciate your time with us. We'd like to see you out for track, and I really do want to see what you do in the middle distances, because I just have no idea. Yeah, he's been a 2.5 month athlete, 2.5 month a year athlete, so there's some real potential there for improvement. So maybe we'll get a little bit more time with him in track. And thank you for, did you go out for all 4 years?
Yeah.
4 years of cross country here at Girard.
Long time.
How many years were you varsity?
4 years.
All 4 years? That's hard to do. Yeah. All right, well, congratulations. Yeah, and we will miss you. Thanks. Cool. Okay, Sam we had an exciting season, or at least I thought it was an exciting season for him. Ended up spending some time at home like a number of our athletes did under quarantine. But late in the season, we especially appreciate his contribution. He didn't have to, and he continued to train through league and regionals. He ran for us at league, so he did letter. So Sam, yeah, he's a varsity letter winner. If you run at the league meet as a varsity runner, that does earn you a letter. And Sam is a young man that's going to be critical for us to be good in the future. He has some natural ability. He's more of a sprinter, or at least still views himself as more of a sprinter. I think he's a closet middle distance runner, but regardless, I think it would be good for you to be doing some training in the winter. Are you playing basketball?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, okay, play hard, because we need to get you through a track season, get you through a summer, and then we'll see where you are next fall. So, but I think if we're going to be good next year, you're going to have to be better. Okay? Mm-hmm. All right, good job. Okay, Trenton Smith, varsity runner for us. Ran mainly in the 3-4 spot this year on the team. More of a middle distance runner, but does a very, very good job. Very proficient in cross country. He will be a guy, he'll be a senior next year. Again, look to him for leadership. Hopefully learns to lead by example. And, he's a guy that truly has some very, very untapped potential. It was unfortunate that we lost track last spring, because I think track is more in Trenton's wheelhouse. Not that he's not very, very good at cross country, he is, but as good as he is at cross country, he's better at track. So losing that season was rough. I'd like to see Trenton really, really make this senior year special. He's got an opportunity to, put an exclamation point on a very good career. And, I personally believe that we'll have track the next 2 seasons. So that senior year could be especially special. So we'd like to see Trenton progress. And we are glad that he was out for cross country and he performed at a very high level for us. So thank you. Okay, Leo was an instrumental part of our program this year. He had to go through a lot of quarantines. During the middle of summer running, he was definitely quarantined for a couple of weeks. And were you quarantined for a total of like 28 days even during the season, right?
Yeah.
So he had kind of a slow start, not any fault of his own. He was working on his own, but he couldn't work with us. And he was really, really helpful late in the season. He ran the league meet for us, and he was willing to stay on and practice all the way through the state meet. And he ran regional for us too, and he ran really, really well at regionals. He got better every week, and Leo is a guy that we're going to have next year if we want to continue with this tradition of being successful. I don't know how many years in a row our boys team has qualified to state. We're always regionally prominent, and with our boys finishing 4th in the state this year, of course we'd like to try to finish higher. And so Leo, I am going to challenge you to work consistently in the off season. That's something he hasn't done yet, and I think that it's something that we can safely say would probably be in his best interest. So my hope is that Leo will work hard this winter. We'll have a good, solid track season, and then next fall, we'll have a very, very much improved Leo Bass running varsity for us, so that we can continue to be as strong a program as we are. So, thank you, Leo. Oh, by the way, that is yours. Okay, we've got Gavin DeBravo. He was a boys varsity runner for us. He was our number 2 runner through most of the year. He placed 21st at the state meet, 20 kids medal. He's one of the best sophomores in the state, all classes. So did a really, really nice job for us this fall. And more importantly, Gavin has worked very, very hard to get there. He's done a nice job during quarantine. He didn't just sit on his tuchus. He actually got out there and did some mileage and made himself better. And it's unfortunate he lost that freshman track season, but had such a good fall. I think we're in a good place, and it bodes well for next spring. Gavin obviously will be very important to our success in the future, because I think next year he'll step into an immediate leadership role. He'll be our fastest returning runner, likely to be our number 1 runner, although you never know. And if he keeps working it the way he is, he'll be among the state's elites. So very excited to have Gavin on the team, and I'm excited as a coach to work with Gavin in the future. So thanks, Gavin. Okay, and we got Tanner Obrecht. Tanner is another talented sophomore. And he was throughout most of the year our number 3 runner, sometimes our number 4, but also, extremely good. What were you, 4th in the regionals?
Yep.
Yeah. And a guy that we will count on for a lot of leadership next year. He was better this year than his freshman year, and he continues to progress. And if he works hard, I think he will be an all-state performer before he graduates. We hope we can put something with these younger guys next year and get back to where we were this year, or maybe even better. So Tanner was all-league, all-region, and 32nd at the state?
Yep.
Okay, that's a pretty dang good year for a sophomore. So very glad to have Tanner and look forward to what you can do in the future. Oh, okay, so now we're on to the girls' varsity runners, and Haley Orender was our MVP, and I have a plaque for you that I forgot to give you in there. She was our MVP this year, and deservingly so. I think she was our number 1 runner at every varsity race, and more importantly, bluntly, I didn't really think that we would be that good a team this year. I wondered about our, ability to compete. I figured that we would be kind of middle of the road as a team, and we actually had a very good season. And we ended up qualifying to the state, and Haley is one of the major reasons for that. She was consistent. She allowed the other girls to key off of her, and you're a 3-year person? All right, whew, good. Yeah, I don't lose her, so she's back next year. Now, you had a babysitting conflict in the summer?
Yeah.
Yeah, are those kids grown up yet?
No.
You playing basketball?
I'll make it work.
All right, well, we want to see Haley get better. So you're at a stage in your career that to get better, I'm going to challenge you to get some work done in the off season. I don't want you to get hurt, so if you're playing basketball or whatever, be careful, don't do that. But if you're not playing basketball, then it's time. I think you're at a stage in your career where we need to try to see how fast we can go for the next 365 days, right?
Yeah.
So we're really happy Haley's in the program, and you did a fantastic job.
Thanks.
Okay, Lexi Robinson, she was once again a varsity contributor for us on the girls' side. We had a very good year as a girls' team, and she was a major part of that. Lexi was our number 8 going into the state meet. She was actually in our top 7 most of the season. A very similar situation to the year before. She always does a great job.
Until
and some
the last meet.
Yeah. something that I always really appreciate is that there was never a, she wasn't negative. There was never a point where she was negative to the other athlete or felt like the program was treating her unfairly. She was doing her job, she was doing her best, and she was happy for the young lady who got to run at the state meet. Well, bluntly, she's a true team player. She's not so selfish that she can't be part of something larger than herself. And so you want a lot of Lexis on your team, if you can get them. And so we're very fortunate she was there. And bluntly, we would not be as good if she weren't there. She keeps us honest, she works hard, she's one of the reasons, unfortunately, the young lady who did run at the state meet, you're one of the reasons she got that good. And she and everyone else knows that. So Lexi has another year. And I have a secret goal. Now, I think your first love is softball, right?
Yes.
Okay, got to get done with that stinking softball because that gives you a summer to get in good enough shape, right, that we can hopefully defend that number 7 spot. I want to see her at the state meet her senior year, if that's at all possible. So we're very fortunate to have Lexi in the program. You lettered again, and you deserved it, and we really do want to see you next year.
Thanks.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, here's Claire Schmidt. Claire is very much improved this year. Was a consistent varsity runner for us. If I'm correct, you were 5th at regionals?
Yes.
Okay, and that was a critical 5th. I think we ended up beating Frontenac by 2 points, and they took 2 teams out of our regionals, and Claire is our number 5 runner. That's a pretty big deal when you score 5 in cross country. So she had a good season. We look forward to bigger things in the future. You do know how to work in the off season. You do know how to make yourself better. So if we keep doing that, you have a very, very bright future. And you were one of the major reasons we had the success we did this year. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, this is Serena Short. She was a varsity runner for us on the girls' side. Her specialty probably, well, she would tell you, is track. She's also a straight qualifier in the 200 meters, 4x1, 4x4. So she really is a sprinter that comes out for cross country, I think, to stay in shape for track. But she did a nice job this year. Vastly improved over her freshman year, a much more confident racer, much more confident practicer, which to me, as a coach, I realize that's going to show up in track. She's going to do a better job when it comes to track practice and getting prepared and, practicing the pressure of racing, being in pressure situations. It's always a good thing to do. So, very proud of what she accomplished this year and feeling very, very good about next spring. So, thank you. Okay, Laney Poland was a consistent varsity runner for us. You were 3-4 most of the time. Did you ever get any higher than 3 on the team?
No.
Okay, but I think you did get as high as 3. Really, not that she didn't do a good job with us, but what she did more impressively is I think she made gains during quarantine. I think that probably had a lot to do with her mother and accountability, but she would come out of quarantine, and you had 1 or 2, you had 2, didn't you? 2 different times you were quarantined for 2 weeks during the season. That's missing a month of the season. And she would come out of quarantine and she was in pretty dang good shape, which is actually not what we expected. So she was doing the work when no one was watching, and we really appreciate that. And she was a solid contributor, and more importantly, she was tons better than last year. She was way mentally tougher and just a lot better distance runner than last year. Now, I think this young lady can run as far as short stuff goes too, like the quarter mile and all. We've never got a chance to see that with the suspension of track season. So I'm very, very excited to see what she can do this spring. I think she's probably going to be an athlete who does more weight training and speed type work in the wintertime. Yeah, but that's okay. I think that's appropriate. And then over the summer, we'll get you ready and we'll have an even better cross-country season next year, right?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Okay, and now we have Gracie Peterson. And Gracie was, really 2-3 runner for us most of the year, 2 most of the time. Vastly improved over her freshman year, a much more aggressive distance runner. Maybe the fact that she lost track made her more invested in cross country, kind of had a chip on her shoulder. Whatever the case may be, she had a good season. She was one of the major reasons, a critical part of us getting better as a girls team so that we could experience an entire cross country season all the way through the state meet. Gracie does a nice job. She's really, more of a sprinter jumper type than a distance runner, and she comes out for cross country mainly to stay in shape. So if you're coming out for a sport just to stay in shape for another sport, and you're doing what she's doing, you must be a pretty good athlete. And she is an extremely hard worker. She is dedicated to what she's doing. Now, she's not running a bunch of miles in the off season, but she probably shouldn't be. She's definitely working on jumping farther and running faster. And I do think cross country is good for her development at this stage in her career, and I hope she keeps coming out. And so we were very, very lucky to have Gracie, and I'm happy she was there, and she did a fantastic job. Okay, all right. Okay, and now we've got Sam Bruchin. Sam actually started the year as a JV runner and was new to the sport and had a lot of learning to do and a lot of growing, and she did. By the end of the year, she was a varsity runner for us at League Regionals and State, right? So at the Big Three at the end of the year, she was a varsity runner for us. She gained valuable experience as a distance runner and really showed a lot of growth and improvement. So Sam is going to be critical to our success in the future. I don't know what her winter plans are, but we would love to see Sam put in those off-season miles, expand that aerobic base, and continue to improve so that we can be even stronger next year. And like I've said with just about every, and I will say about every girl in the top 5, or in the top 7, we wouldn't have been as good as we were without your contribution. So we really appreciate that contribution. It was a fun season. You guys were a great group to work with, so thank you. Okay, and we have Regan Poland, and she is the Wunder freshman. She showed up this year. I knew coming out of middle school that she would be okay. She'd be pretty good. I really didn't think she would be as good as she is. And there were a number of times this year, both in practice and in meets, where she was the catalyst that got us going. I think it was the first time we ran thousands at the practice football fields. Bluntly, I think those older kids didn't want to lose to you. The whole workout got better, and she's aggressive. She attacks from the front, and that is a personality that was lacking from our top 5. They're good runners, but they're very, very passive and very, very patient, and they kind of needed someone like you to mix it up. And at regionals, I know you had to think maybe that wasn't the smartest race I ever had. But from a coach's point of view, when you took off like that, the whole team ran faster. And as tight as that race was, I think without you being up there running as aggressively as you did, we may have been in real trouble. You may have been the difference at a regionals between qualifying and state and none. And as a freshman, of course, you have a really, really bright future. And if I'm assessing this correctly, you and Haley are the true long distance runners on the team. The true, this is what I do. Well, we need to start to figure out how to use the winter time to our advantage, and how to run, further, not faster. So, if you're interested, we'll talk, but you can get a lot better. And if you want to get a lot better, I think you're capable. So we hope that she, buys into the program, that she invests, and you have a very, very bright future. Okay. Here on the boys' side, we have Peyton Ackerman, and Peyton has been an athlete in our program for 4 years, and so I have a letter for Peyton. And Peyton has always been a hard worker. He's a kid who brings a positive attitude to practice, and in practice he always has a great work ethic. He races well. I think he showed a lot of growth this year as a racer. He races intelligently. And he will be an athlete that we will miss because he's the type of athlete, he never complains, he's positive, and he's good to have on a team. So, we wish Peyton luck with his future endeavors, and, we will miss him. Okay, this is Sam Furman. He's a 4-year guy for us. He's a better javelin thrower than he is a distance runner, but he became a pretty dang good distance runner. How many JV meets did you medal in? Well, it was more than one. A few. And he's not the prototypical body type for a long distance runner. 5K is a long ways for a guy who's like 6'3", 210? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a pretty long ways for a guy with that morphology. If we had weight divisions in cross country, he'd be awesome. So no problems. He has a great work ethic. He does his job in the off season, and we are going to miss him. You miss that senior leadership. You know, they don't have to be your best athletes. Just having them in the program and teaching those younger kids, you know, the way things work, and mainly communicating the expectations. Sam did a nice job of that. And we will miss him. And, you know, we hope he has a great track season, that we have a track season. I really do think he'd have improved like 50 feet in the javelin last year. So we can add another 25 or 30 feet onto what would have happened. He could have a really, really good year this spring. So, you know, I imagine you're going to be spending most of your time in the weight room this winter, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, that's what I would be doing. So, all right, there you go. Thanks. Okay, and here we have Ethan Brocob, and he had a good year this year. His first year he came out, he struggled with injuries, and we had some consistency issues. And this year he was able to stay healthy all season and show a great deal of improvement. And we were very proud of Ethan. And we need him to continue to do that if we're going to, you know, be as good as we're capable of in the future. So a challenge to you is work in the off season and stay healthy. And he's been pretty good about working in the summer. And so, yeah, we're glad to have you. Thanks. Okay, Josh was a young man who this year it was exciting to see him run. Last year, he was more of a manager for us. He ran early, had some injury issues, and then spent a lot of time with us, but in a managerial capacity. And this year he was able to run the whole season and stay healthy and make progress. So it was good to see Josh do that. I think, you know, I think he enjoyed it. Okay. And we'd like to see Josh next year. And are you doing any winter sports?
No.
All right, so of course, like I always, you know, the same spiel I always give, I'd like to see you running in the off season then. Would be good if you got out and did a little regular exercise so that A, it prevents injuries for the next time we see each other, and B, of course, it generally tends to make you a better athlete. So we were happy to have Josh on the team, and we'd love to see him next year, but of course we want to see him in better shape. The svelte version. All right, okay, this is Corey's second year in our program, and he showed some growth and development this year. There were times when he really raced well. He raced intelligently, ran his races, and moved up to the field. I learned a lot about him because I think that is the way he needs to race in the future. He, you know, had some inconsistency at the beginning of the season, which corrected by the end. And kind of excited to see where he goes. He's like a number of our younger runners. I think if he's going to develop, he's going to have to figure out how to train in the off season. And so, you know, I want to challenge you to actually spend some time this winter developing, going out on aerobic runs and improving. Going out for track?
Yeah.
Okay, well that will help too. Missing that track season was not an ideal situation for our distance runners, but we handled it real well. And Corey, you did a nice job. So, okay, if we had, this is Brett Clevenger, so, you know, second year kid for us. If we had an MVP award, which we don't, you know, Brett would definitely be in the running for it. Improved significantly over his freshman year. Was, you know, one of our major players at the JV level, and he's one of these younger guys that we hope will break through and become a runner for us next year at the varsity level. Hard worker, okay, was consistent. Trained in the summer to get better, which we always appreciate, and has a bright future. I don't know his plans for the winter, but if he's not out for basketball or wrestling, either one?
I'll do basketball.
Okay, well, never mind. Anyway, we definitely want to see him training. And so, you know, we were glad to have Brett. We were happy to see him improve, and we hope that he'll be with us next year. Okay? Okay. Right. Gabe Saker. This young man is a second-year kid, right? He's been in our program for 2 years, and I think if he showed up twice, he must kind of like us, must think that it's something he wants to do. So he does a nice job for us. He's a JV kid for us, but he's consistent, and he's fairly far up in our JV squad. He has asked me before what it would take to make varsity, and that is work. It takes a lot of work. So as we look forward to winter, I don't think he's got a major plan for any other sports like basketball or wrestling. So I am going to challenge you to go ahead and train and expand your aerobic base this winter. And if my math is right, you've had your 2 weeks, right? Well, bluntly, I got some kids that will be starting on Monday, and it's always better to run safety in numbers. And I'm excited to see what your future is. you're kind of at a critical point as a sophomore. It seems like juniors either get a whole lot better or a whole lot worse. So I was glad to have you, and we'd like to see you next year. And like I told Leo Bass, we've got to get better if we want to keep being this good in this area. We need guys like you to step up and do the work in the off season. Okay? All right. Okay, Ben was our lone freshman boy. That's okay, but that's, we'd like to see a few more. So Ben did a nice job for us. I think physically you improved significantly. I think he was definitely in better shape at the end of the season than he was at the beginning. And his race time showed that. I think he enjoyed grudge matches with his brother, which I think you won 2 of 3 of those things, didn't you? All right. Always good to beat the sibling. Ben, do anything this winter?
No.
Okay, well, Ben, it'd be a good idea for you to go ahead and train. Out-train Joss this winter, and you can win every grudge match. And of course, you have an older brother, and you need to get him too before he graduates. You're running out of time, right? And also, I would like you to shamelessly recruit from your class, because if we want to have a good cross-country team your senior year, we're going to need more than you. So it was fun to have Ben. He's a fun kid, and we hope he comes out again next year. And of course, we hope he brings 4 or 5 freshmen with him. Okay? All right. Okay, Laney Nichols. Laney Nichols was a part of our girls team. She actually was a contributor in many ways. She improved dramatically during the years. And she went from, I think, barely able to finish workouts to actually starting to medal in races. And at the end of the year, she was doing well enough that we had her stay on and practice with us all the way up until the state meet. Now, they only let us take 7 to the state meet this year, and so we weren't able to take her, but she did a fantastic job for us, and she's one of the keys to our future. So I don't know what Laney's plans are for the winter, but we would like to see Laney putting in some miles and doing a good job this winter, because next year I think there'll be more weight on your shoulders, so to speak, and we'll be expecting varsity contributions from you on a consistent basis. So she had a very, very good season. She has a lot to be proud of, and I was just tickled. At the beginning of the year, she was debating on whether to do volleyball and cross country, kind of always an awkward thing for a coach because you don't want to recruit against another program. And I hope I did a good job of that, but she chose cross country, and we're very happy she did. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Ryder Woods, he was a manager for us this year in cross country, and he was a definite asset to the program. It's an awkward thing to say, but in times like this, he was our one point of contact. If you got a drink of water at practice, it went through Ryder. That way we didn't have multiple people handling water bottles, and of course this year it was quite difficult because we had to have individual water bottles for each athlete. They had to be separated. Before we ever handed an athlete a bottle of water, we had to sanitize our hands. There were a lot of regulations, a lot of requirements, and it could be very, very frustrating. And of course, at the end of practice, we had a lot of cleaning up to do, a lot of putting away to do, and just a lot of things that you don't normally have to deal with in a season, and Ryder was extremely helpful with that. Kind of unfair in that Keisha was very, very concerned about the number of people we were bringing to meets, and especially meets where we traveled a long ways, like the regionals and state. So they were very restrictive of taking your managers, and even for that matter, your alternates. They really only let you bring the kids that qualified, the top 7. And well, anyway, Ryder was a good sport about that. Because a lot of times kids just want to join a team so that they can get the free trip to the state meet, and that wasn't the case. He genuinely wanted to be part of the program and to help the program, and that was obvious in his work ethic. So we really appreciate what you did, Ryder, and we'd be more than happy to have you as a manager again next year. All right?